Hey everyone, welcome to all the updates from Chapter 6 to Dee's Journal in Bravely Default. Starting with the updates to Ring a Bell, the Third World, beyond the Second Holy Pillar, the Great Chasm still yawned before us. Seeing the face of the Dark Knight Altinus Dim has rekindled some of my memory, but I feel more confused than ever. The number 6, my friend slaughtered. I have a splitting headache. Tiz came to see me as I got some air on the deck. I am the Dark Knight. And this world. After awakening the third crystal in the third world, most of my memory returned. Tiz visited me on the deck again. I asked him to tell Agnes how the pattern on Ares' wings changed between worlds, without alerting the fairy. He agreed to my request. In the third world, Sage Oriana showed me one of the cruel endings that fate could have in store for me. I saw the Altinus Dim of this world, wailing in pain and on the brink of insanity, having lost all hope at Adia's death. He left, after saying he wished he could have died in her place. I had much to think on. Updates to Tiz. Most of my memory returned after we awakened 3 crystals in the third world. At my request, Tiz and Agnes went to visit the sage. He told Agnes the whole story behind what I had remembered, and the secrets he had heard from the angel 1800 years ago. Tiz returned to us in high spirits. In the third world, the sage showed Tiz an alternate fate. In this world, it was Tiz's brother Till who survived. None of the village had been rebuilt, and the area teemed with monsters. At the sight of Tiz, Till rushed to embrace him. Tiz struggled over whether to stay here and rebuild the village with his brother. Updates to Agnes. To tell Agnes of the memory I had regained without alerting Eri, Tiz took her to visit the sage. They spoke of the wing patterns I had remembered, of the pendant the angel told the sage about, and of the evil one. It must have been hard for Agnes to hear, but I saw resolve in her eyes when they returned. In the third world, the sage showed Agnes another possible ending to her story. She could take the place of the Agnes of this world, who had perished, and live a carefree life with the water vessel, who yet lived here. This chance to enjoy a peace she could not experience anywhere else presented Agnes with a dilemma. Updates to Adia. Adia's mother told her the truth behind the Templar and Swordmaster's duel. Rather than a scandalous fight over a woman, her story told us 3 young people's noble actions taken for friendship, love, and idealism. She ended with the admonition to never forget what her father's dear friend had done for their family. In the third world, Sage Oriana showed Adia another path. She could take the place of the deceased Adia of this world, and live on with her mother and father here. She was visibly moved at the thought of enjoying the warmth of family life, and getting to know the kind side of her father's love that she had not seen before. In our path stood the 3 Venus sisters, the Valkyrie Anheria, the Summoner Mephilia, and the Ranger Artemia. We bested them in epic battle, and they covered each other as they withdrew. Adia, who studied alongside Anheria, couldn't help but smile at seeing their sisterly affection for one another. Updates to Eri. We awakened all the crystals in the second world, and the Holy Pillar appeared once more. We entered it prepared, and fought with the Dark Knight again before being surrounded by light. As before, we woke in the inn at Kaldisla. The seas were again putrid, and the chasm still a gaping scar in the land. Eri once more said she remembered nothing. In this third world, or perhaps the fourth for me, I experienced repeated headaches, and my memory slowly began to return. The pattern on Eri's wings was changing each time we went through the Holy Pillar. I told Tiz of Eri's true nature. Updates to Carl the Innkeep. Beyond the Holy Pillar, we once again found ourselves at the inn in Kaldisla in the third world. The innkeep seemed to know nothing of us, and told us the boy who survived the great chasm at Swadnarende village was saved by his older brother. He then hurried back to his work. Updates to Barris. In the third world, we once again fought the monk Barris and the white mage Holly at the lake to the southwest of Kaldisla. They had just been trounced by another force, and I noticed the wounded Holly casting re-rays, but let it go. As expected, we heard loud whispers from behind us after defeating them. We headed away from the lake, trying to suppress our laughter. Update to Holly. In the third world, we once again fought Holly and Barris at the lake southwest of Kaldisla. I noticed Holly casting re-rays in the midst of battle, but let it go. As we headed away, I heard loud whispers from behind, sounding like an older sister scolding her brother for not knowing when to give up his games. Update to Ominous. We found the black mage Ominous Crow at the ruins of Central Keep in the third world. He scolded Adia for being late. It seemed he'd been looking forward to having her under his command. He mistook us for her attendants, and was shocked when he recognized the Wind Vestal. He attacked, believing Adia to be an illusion, but we prevailed. Update to Henkel. In the third world, Henkel read us orders from headquarters saying that the vessel should be found and kept safe. He claimed they meant her no harm, and merely sought to protect her from the Orthodoxy's corruption. He admonished Adia, who was at a loss for words. Though what he said made sense, we won the battle and were left questioning our situation. Updates to Sage Juliana. Tiz visited the sage, entering the cave with Anius alone so he could tell her what I had remembered without alerting Eri. The sage told them of the evil one the angel had spoken of, and shared the secret of Anius' pendant. We found this note from the sage in the third world. I await you at the chamber of the Council of Six, in the land where all began. Conjuror Juliana. The sage showed the four of us other paths our lives could take. We considered his words, came to our conclusion, and visited him once more. The sage stood before us as a conjurer intending to test our mettle. He was a formidable opponent, but we achieved victory in the end. Sage Juliana, Council Advisor. One of the Council of Six, respected by even the Templar. Once High Inquisitor and Archbishop of the Orthodoxy, he has attained immortality. A man who has lived about 1900 years. He hails from ancient Eternia, and now holds the Conjurer Asterisk. He climbed to the upper ranks of the Orthodoxy and attained eternal life. For centuries, he has watched over the Orthodoxy, the Crystals, and the Vestals. Likes, women, dislikes, Adia's cooking. Update to Olivia. When visiting the matriarch in the third world, we learned that the water vestal Olivia had vanished half a year earlier. Apparently, she still sends letters to let everyone know she is safe, but nobody has any idea where in Florum she could be hiding. Arriving in the hidden village in the third world, we encountered the water vestal Olivia, scared out of her wits by Eternian pursuers. After fending off the attack of the three Venus sisters, the terrified Olivia begged Anius to stay with her. The sage told Anius that living on in this world as friend to Olivia is one of the paths she could take. Update to Altinus. Sage Juliana showed me an alternate fate. I could take the place of this world's Altinus, who mourned the loss of his beloved Adia. I learned he had been abandoned in the slums of Florum by his mother, and survived only by embracing darkness. Then he was saved by the Templar's just blade. Update to Jackal. In the third world, we encountered the Jackal in the depths of the Harina ruins. He spoke of his parents abandoning him, and the irony that he was taken in by a leader of thieves. He then attacked, and upon his defeat, he was surrounded by the orphans he had given a home to. The voices brought him back from the brink of death. What would become of these children? Update to Profiteer. In the third world, we entered the merchantry's building and presented our evidence to the chairman, the merchant of death who would suck every last coin from the impoverished people through his water scheme, revealed his ugly side and attacked. Upon defeating him, the water rights were restored to the government, and the lives of the people began to improve. Updates to Victoria. At the White Magic Circulation Hub in the third world, Victor told us of his past. The alchemical genesis treatment proposed by Victor's father was carried out without Victoria's consent, changing her mind and halting her growth. We heard more of Victoria and Victor's past, how Victoria killed Victor's father in a moment of clarity, and how this caused Victor to break down. Then, Victoria awoke and launched an attack. A frenetic fight ensued, where he vanquished the two miserable souls bound by unspeakable tragedy. Updates to Victor. In the third world, we listened to Victor speak about Victoria's past. Overriding the objection of others, Victor's father used alchemical genesis on Victoria. This damaged her mind and stopped her body's normal growth. We heard more of Victoria and Victor's past, how Victoria had murdered Victor's father, causing Victor to suffer a mental breakdown. Victoria woke soon after and set upon us. We endured her attacks and put an end to the tragic pair, bound by a bond of sorrow. Update to Artemia. In the third world, after passing through the Twilight Ruins and meeting the water vestal Olivia at the hidden village to the west, we were attacked by Artemia and her two sisters. They politely offered Olivia the chance to surrender, and when defeated by us in battle, withdrew quickly while watching each other's backs. Update to Mephilia. In the third world, we met the water vestal Olivia at the hidden village to the west beyond the Twilight Ruins. While there, we were attacked by Mephilia and her two sisters. They fought with honor, and when they saw they were bested, they covered each other as they fell back. Update to Einherja. In the third world, after passing through the Twilight Ruins and meeting the water vestal Olivia at the hidden village to the west, we were attacked by Einherja and her two sisters. They gave Olivia the chance to surrender and fought with honor. When we prevailed, they withdrew quickly, covering each other all the way. Updates to Swordmaster Kami Izumi. Adia's mother told us the true story of the Templar and Swordmaster. After winning the duel, the Swordmaster told her she should marry the Templar, and left on his journey of training. She told Adia she should be thankful for the friendship the Swordmaster had shown her father, and for him teaching her the ways of the sword. We confronted Swordmaster Kami Izumi on the top floor of the Swordbearer's lair, Starkfort. He seemed sorrowful rather than angry that Adia did not try to understand the decisions he had made with the ideals of her father, the Templar. He was slain in the battle that followed. Update to Kata. Coming across Kata at Starkfort in the Third World, he seemed to spend his days complaining to subordinates about how he was removed from the front lines. Boasting of his achievements to his silent underlings, it was clear just how insignificant he really was. As before, he was using captured soldiers in tests to create heinous weapons, so we gave him his just desserts. An update to Till. In the Third World, Sage Uriana told Tiz that his alternate fate was to replace his counterpart here who had perished, and rebuild Nurende Village together with his younger brother. We talked this over, gave the sage our answer, and then did battle with him. An update to Brave. Adia's mother told her what had happened between the Swordmaster and her father. It was not the typical tale of romance she had expected, but a story of friendship and mutual respect. The Swordmaster stood by the Templar and led Adia on the right path, showing great affection for the daughter of the woman he loved and his closest friend. In the Third World, Sage Uriana showed Adia an alternate fate. She could choose to live a life of peace here with the Templar and his wife, who mourned the loss of their daughter. The Templar praised Adia after the battle, showing that her father was secretly proud of her progress. This surprising fact made Adia agonize over her decision. An update to Mazer. Adia's mother told her the true story of the Swordmaster and her father. Far from the frivolous tale of rumor, it conveyed the Swordmaster's devotion to his friend, and unwavering support for the husband of the woman he loved. He strived to lead Adia down the right path as her master, and he stayed true to her family to the end. In the Third World, Sage Uriana showed Adia an alternate fate. She could live a life of peace here with her parents in place of their late daughter. After the battle, the Templar showed her affection she had never experienced before, and her mother mistook me for Altinus, welcoming me back into the fold. Our resolve was sorely tested. An update to Vincent. His views on the best way to treat Victoria differed from his son's, who was in charge of research into white magic. Overriding the objections of those around him, he used alchemical genesis on Victoria. As a result, she began suffering from debilitating fits, and the growth of her body was stunted. Vincent was later slain by Victoria. An update to Grandship. Lights and wreckage. That flash of light Tiz saw when the Great Chasm opened, and the eddy of light that enveloped us when we plunged into the Holy Pillar. What was it about the light from both of them? And then there was the wreckage and mechanical fragments scattered about the Great Chasm. We were all thinking the same thing, and for the same reason, we all wanted to banish the thought.